Uh-oh. Here we are. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Uh-oh, he says. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
You should probably say that every week. Every week it's going to be uh-oh, folks.
No, Peter. This is a special uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're 2 days before Christmas. And if you know anything about Bill's planet, Bill doesn't work during Christmas. And this year I have been. So only because I decided to take 6 weeks off at Thanksgiving. So I decided, well, I can't take Thanksgiving and Christmas off. I mean, I could, but yeah, I don't want to get that reputation. You know what I mean?
I know, but I was thinking about that. You usually do take December off, and you've been shoving tons of work at me and the wife over here. We're running like crazy to keep up with you. I was thinking, where's my vacation?
Yeah. Signing new clients on, buying houses, all kinds of stuff. Anyways, episode number 283.
Yeah.
Title is Lazy Creative Real Estate Skills Gets More Deals Guaranteed Every Time.
Bill, I heard 2 words.
Yeah.
Lazy
and guaranteed. Oh, deal. Okay, good.
And that way everybody I want deals, but I'm lazy. I just want it.
Here we go. Here's the description, Mr. Coca-Cola, a.k.a. the Rookie. I still crack up when I was on when you were gone on your sabbatical, and Jessie would go on. My oldest daughter would help me with the podcast, and she would go on and she'd put the second Rookie. Or no, the original Rookie. The original Rookie, yeah.
Well, she is.
She was, yeah.
That's fine. But she's really the Rookette.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Here's the description of this podcast. Lazy, unwilling to work or use energy. I could stop there, right?
That describes what we would love to get away with that one, all of us.
This perfectly describes my attitude towards my creative real estate deals these days. And you know what I have noticed? I'm doing more deals, and I have tripled my income since I started this frame of mind and not working so hard. In this quirky podcast, we plan to reveal why creative real estate investors work so hard and get less results. Not only that, but I decided to stop trying to second guess my seller's intentions, overthink the deals, and even legally get my sellers to give me their acceptable offers without them even knowing it.
Huh.
In fact, it is working so good, I figured I should share this sitting under the oak tree, smoking a cigar while making more money type of activity with you today. But beware, it's not for everyone. More to the point, even dangerous for some, which is why I deliberated even telling all my podcast listeners about it. So no support tickets with a noose around your neck crying for help, okay? Let's jump in.
Well, you can draw some pictures pretty well. Did you see that one, folks? You got a noose around your neck and you're hanging and you're on your own. Oh, my God. Hey, folks, if nothing else, he's entertaining. Hey, Bill, that used to be my job, entertaining. You're doing pretty good on your own.
Thank you.
Just sit back. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to speak less to you. Go ahead.
It backfired on me already.
Yeah, just go ahead, Bill. Run the podcast. It'll be a little shorter. I'll move on. I'll go make some money.
Before we get started, realize that in the description of wherever you are watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, there's a mystery link in there for you. And remember, it is Christmas. Uh-oh.
And Bill is generous. He likes to give gifts.
I like to give gifts. I am generous. Thank you. So also, we record this podcast on Thursday mornings, 9:30-ish a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. On Bill's Planet on my email system, I call it Flakebook or Two-Face Book because they are two-face, and I got some words for them. They took me off a marketplace, and I can't get back on. They kicked me out. I've been exiled, Peter, from Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace.
You think it's permanent?
Well, I've been trying to get it back for almost a month. I even have my Facebook guy working on it, and the sons of bitches don't even give me a link so I can appeal it.
I know this.
Nuts. And then we have, and then YouTube I call ZooTube because you go on there and it's a total zoo. In any event, you can go on there on Thursday mornings around 9:30ish, and you could put your questions in the comments if you have any questions for us or would like to talk to us. Put them right in the comments under the video, under the YouTube video, or on the Facebook page, and we will answer your questions while we are recording. The only thing I ask is sometimes people will ask questions like, "How do I get started in real estate?" I want it to be, preferably questions about the topic we're talking about, but we deal with any question. Mm-hmm. So make sure you go grab that out. And also, wherever you're listening to us on your podcast, make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you leave us a comment, good, bad, or indifferent, and tell us what you think. Okay? So, Pete, I want to start off with a basic fundamental on making a ton of money in real estate.
Okay.
This is the foundation or the building block of a successful business. Actually, any successful business.
Yeah.
And you've heard me say it a bazillion times, but today we're going to say it again. If offers aren't getting made, you aren't getting paid. If offers aren't getting made, you aren't getting paid.
Yeah.
Which brings me to this. What's the definition of an offer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if offers aren't getting made, you aren't getting paid. So what does that mean? What do you have to do? What is an offer?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my definition of an offer, which is, a little bit of an English definition with my own twist to it, if you would.
You are English.
Yes.
So you're entitled.
I am entitled.
More than I am, because I'm only Italian.
There you go.
So you go ahead.
I'm sorry to hear that until I come to your house for dinner.
That's right. Because my Swedish, Irish, French, German, American Indian wife makes pretty good food. No Italian food you come.
Yeah, she learned from your mother. So anyways, definition of offer. It's when you present or hold out something to someone to accept or reject as so desired.
Yeah.
So it's when you present or hold out something or someone to accept or reject as desired.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as we say in real estate, a conditional proposal made to a seller or a buyer, because it could be both ways, which becomes legally binding if accepted. Okay, now I'm going to be extremely rude, so if you don't like my crudeness, now's the time to pause. But this is me, so you have to hang in with me. The word if.
Yeah.
2-letter word if. My old man, who was 100%, the guy that raised me, not my real father, the guy that raised me, Jess, who was 100% Sioux Indian, used to tell me all the time, the word if is a hard one, kid. I'm like, why? He said, well, let me give you an example. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. Okay? Big word, if. Okay?
Yeah,
so,
that's a very big word.
And the reason why I bring this up is because I have so many people that are worried if they say something to a seller, they got to live by it forever. So let me read this again. This is our real estate definition of an offer. A conditional proposal made to a seller or buyer, which becomes legally binding if accepted.
And but it's also if you as a buyer sign papers and stuff, right?
It's either one, buyer or seller, if accepted. Peter,
Right.
I would like for you to give me $10,000. No.
Okay.
Okay, Peter, I'd like for you to give me $20,000. No. Okay, Peter, I'd like for you to buy me lunch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a verbal agreement. If accepted, you didn't accept my $10,000 offer, you didn't accept my $20,000 offer, but you accepted my offer to buy me lunch.
Right.
Now, in my world, this is a little bit off script here. In my world, in fact, I just did one yesterday, we send a memorandum.
Mm-hmm.
A memorandum is a little different than a letter of intent. A letter of intent is, this is what I would like to do. What do you think?
Yeah.
A memorandum is, here's kind of like what we discussed. It's in writing. When you sign this document, we're going legal. Right?
So at that point, it would be legal?
It is not a binding contract. A memorandum is not a binding contract.
Yeah.
It's the pre-binding contract.
Right. And that's what I'm pointing out to folks, because I know people can be nervous. So you keep going so we know exactly what point we commit. And up to that point, there's nothing to worry about. Keep going.
So the only time that you have to worry about having the liability of the property is when you go to the closing and sign, and the deed is given in your name, or whatever name you designate.
So even if you sign a purchase and sales agreement,
Absolutely.
you think, okay, I'm done. But there's plenty, right? There's plenty of clauses not to. You go too long, you change your mind. I mean, it happens all the time, right?
It happens every day. And here's the thing. I'm gonna like bash the crap out of the realtor system, which I so love to do because it's so idiotic, right? For a very long time, Peter, I mean, until the internet came along, especially, for a very long time, these freaks of real estate, okay, would actually sign a contract with someone saying that they're going to sell a house and never go and check to see if they actually held title to the house. Or more importantly, they sign for a price like, oh, I want to sell for $175,000 and never ask the seller or the person signing the contract, how much do you owe? Wondering if they can actually have a closing and bring enough money to the table so that the seller doesn't have to. They just assume that if they owe too much money, they're just going to bring 20 grand to the closing table so everybody can get paid, including get their 5% or 6% commission.
Yeah.
So you say what you want about me, and you can disown me if you want, but that's a freak to me. You're in the real estate business. You should know this. This is basics. If you don't know who your seller's on the deed and you don't know how much they owe, what are you in the game for?
But I was talking to a realtor yesterday, a guy who had done some, been a realtor, and he was selling some properties, and we're talking about our system, creative financing, and he didn't know things like lease options and how it works. And I said, that doesn't make any sense. My mechanic, who's an old Italian dude who used to be a broker, used to do this a long time ago, all the time. Right. It's not anything new. Like, where you been, folks? How come you don't know this? It's funny.
Exactly. All right. So now that we cleared that up, like, what is an offer? When I say if offers aren't getting made, they aren't getting paid. So let me just kind of like totally, be chauvinistic about this, okay? Because I'm good at that, being chauvinistic. Believe me, my two sisters, my two daughters, and my two wives, ex-wife and new wife, they tell me this all the time, okay? Sweetheart, what would you like for dinner tonight? I don't know. What do you want? I want steak. No, I don't think I want steak. Okay, how about pork chops? I don't think so. How about pasta? Nah, I think I just want chicken with a salad on it. Okay, let's have chicken with a salad on it. I just made 3 offers. It's just as simple as that. Why are you so like you're getting electric shock treatment when you got to give an offer? Just talk to somebody. Just make a proposal. Hey, sweetheart, would you like steak? Would you like pork chops? Would you like pasta? Oh, okay. You want chicken with salad on it? Good. Let's have chicken with salad on it. Mm-hmm. It's no different than real estate.
Bill, can I give my perspective on how it works?
Yeah.
I've been through the mill a few times with you, right? So think of it, folks, as a series of steps. Maybe it's 10 steps to buy a house. The first phone call, he says yes, you say maybe more, you go back and forth, you go look at it, sign papers, all the little steps that you do. Here's the game plan. See how far you can get, goddammit. See how far you can get.
Yeah.
Keep going. And here, do not say no to the deal yourself. Let them say no.
Right.
Why would you say no? I had a $900,000 house come across my plate yesterday, right? I texted you. I went, hey, Bill. I mean, more like,
Let me read the text. Let me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't flinch. I just said, hey, Bill, we do these we haven't done a big one like that, but you want to do it? You want to see?
Here's the text. This was yesterday at 2:22 p.m. Hey, do we do $900,000 single family houses? And then it gives me the address for sale by owner.
Mm-hmm.
My answer was maybe if it's little risk, no money, and able to sell. That was my answer.
Yeah.
Right. And then we went on from there.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't care. I'm going to call them. You know, on this one, I noticed the guy's been trying to sell it since May anyways, and it's freaking December. So
there you go.
Nice. So I got some day. So what do I got to lose? Maybe we go up there, we see it, walk around a beautiful house, and then see if we can do it. Try. If we don't get anything.
Hey, we're way off script right now. I want to keep going, but listen to me carefully.
Yeah.
You get a $900,000 house?
Yeah.
Listen to me. I don't know if I've ever told you this before.
Yeah.
Suppose we were to get that house for $900,000.
Yep.
Right? And we were to sell it for $900,000 and made no money.
Oh, yeah.
What if we said to the seller, because a lot of those big houses, they're too big and they have no place to put the furniture. We asked the seller if we could sell all the furniture and we have an auction and sell the furniture and make $20,000. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of those big mansions are like that, especially the NFL players and all those big, $10 million houses and shit. Yeah. Make hundreds of thousands of dollars just having an auction.
Yeah.
Selling the furniture. All right. So now, like I said, now that we cleared that up, let's move on. Because this was not part of the plan today to talk about this. Here we go, Peter. Here is Bill's Planet Law. Law. That means this has been studied and proven, and when we break it, it hurts.
Bill, is this like a natural law?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Not all sellers are equal, which means not all offers are equal. Not all sellers are equal, which means not all offers are equal. Now, let me be a bit weird here. Let's take, and Peter laughs because he's like, what do you mean be weird? You're always weird, Bill.
And we're the whole thing.
Let's take a normal, everyday, common dog. Kind of like what you have, Pete. What's his name? Karma?
Karma's a multi-poo.
Yeah. No, Karma's a pain in the ass because he barks all the time when we're trying to do podcasts.
You do. I got the music blaring in the other room to keep her quiet.
Now, this dog is on the other side of the room, right? And you want the dog to come to you. Well, how do you do this? Do you call him by name? Come here, Karma.
Stares at me.
Maybe clap your hands and say, come here.
Stares at me.
Bend down and use your different girly voice. Come here, Karma. Like a little baby, like you're talking to a baby.
Stares at me.
Slap your knees. Come here. Slap your knees, right? Whistle. Come here, right?
Stares at me.
Wave its favorite toy. Right?
None of the above.
By the way, this is exactly how most investors deal with offers and sellers, aka the hard way. Now, here's the thing, and it isn't something I made up. It's an observable fact. I've seen it multiple times, not only with myself, not only with my employees, but with my VAs and my customers and my coaching clients and my family. Every dog is different. Either by training or experience, even emotional responses are different for every dog, every person, everything. Now, I happen to know most dogs, and I mean about 99% of them, like treats. And it doesn't matter what kind of treat. If they think they can eat it, right? They can smell it and eat it, they're motivated to trot across the room and get it.
That's right.
Right? Okay, now let's bring this back to real estate. Just like the dog having any kind of treat they can eat and they'll trot across the room, cash at a closing is the treat to move motivated sellers to run across the room with high expectations. That's the common denominator.
Sure.
Is cash.
Sure.
But this is a big treat, right?
Very big.
But believe it or not, and this was a huge, huge turning point for you in your career, Peter, when you realize not every seller feels cash is the treat in the deal.
Yeah.
Not every seller needs or wants cash. Of course, cash is the universal exchange,
Yep.
right? So there's levels of exchange all the way from bad exchange to exchange in abundance. There's 4 types of them. We're not going to talk about that now, right? So, but the point is that you could have bad exchange, or you can have exchange in abundance.
Yep.
Or you could just have in the middle fair exchange.
Yeah.
Right. But cash or U.S. money, the note, as we call it, which is fake as hell and the biggest fraud on planet Earth. Read the book, Creature from
Jekyll
Island. And I wish I could remember Sean Cloudon's father. What's his name? I wish I could remember his book. Something with. Something with.
It's a book on finance.
Yeah, it's on the economy. What the hell
okay.
is his name? I can't. I'll have to look it up. He's got a really good book too. Anyways,
I know,
just read that book. Read the book. In fact, you don't even need to read the book. Just type in YouTube "Creature from Jekyll Island." The guy that wrote the book has about a 40-minute video or 45-minute video that explains the entire book.
I've run to people who know it. It's around. People are catching on.
So the United States, no. Anyways, but we have an agreement that money has confidence. You can use it anywhere.
Yep. And
do anything with it. Whatever your little heart desires, if you have it and can pass it, you can get anything you want. You can even murder people and get away with it if you have money. Right? Anything's possible. Okay, so that's a broad sweep. So yeah, if you want a house and if you have enough money, you can get whatever you want. But what happens if you don't have money? And that's not even the case, because if you get a good deal, you can find money. What happens if you have a seller, like, for example, you want to buy one of my houses? Unless it's like way over the asking price, I don't want to sell. The only reason why you should ever want to sell a piece of real estate is because you need cash or you need money.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you do it the way we talk about for 282 podcasts, if you use the property as cash flow, you don't want to get rid of the cash flow. Unless you can
make more.
Or in our case, you can take, just what you're saying, you could take that cash and turn it into maybe not more money, but the same amount of money with less work or less aggravation.
Yeah, anything,
Like I just sold a property a couple months ago because I had a seller I did a subject to with, and quite seriously, and I have not said this in a long time, they were divorced, the husband and wife, and the husband still works for me. He's my plumber. Great guy.
Yeah.
Wife was certifiably institutionalized. I mean, she was cuckoo.
Mhm.
and I just didn't want her in my portfolio.
Yeah.
So I got rid of the property and made $55,000 or something like that, or 35,000. I forgot what the number, something like that, right?
I remember we have an email, 54.
Yeah.
Yeah, altogether. And no renovation.
Yeah. All right. So this brings me around to being lazy with deals and sellers creating their own offers without them even knowing it. Now watch this. Let's define the word congregation.
Mm-hmm.
This word means a gathering of people or people whom share the same faith and habitually attend the same church. So the word congregation means a gathering of people or people whom share the same faith and habitually attend the same church.
Sure.
In other words, they are like-minded. This is different than a family gathering, right?
Mm-hmm.
A
Yes.
family gathering has everyone connected because of genetics or family name,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not like-minded, they're just connected in some other way. It's a group of people, but the difference is a congregation is a group of collected, compatible thinkers whom very easily become in harmony because of their beliefs,
Sure.
right? Now,
Yeah, it doesn't happen in a family. People have different opinions.
Peter, I don't want to stir up some shit here,
Yeah, no, of course you don't.
but it's 2 days before Christmas in my world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my world is not that way because I've already dealt with this, but that means you're going to have to be with the family.
Yep.
And that means that you're going to be at a party and somebody's going to say something that you don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
That means that, maybe there's going to be some political talk or some religion talk, and you have this policy, I don't talk politics or religion with my family because blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But somehow, some way, the alcohol or the food coma or something happens and you get out of your own head, your own personality, your own balance, right? And there you are in that conversation.
Yeah, and it's too late to get out. You started it. Or you answered. You took the bait.
Right. This doesn't happen in the right congregation. In the right congregation, you might have these conversations, but you're not going to get upset because the core belief is the same.
Yeah. Yep.
They're like-minded. So here is the secret. The list or names you will market to when looking for deals is over 60% of your success.
Mm.
If you do this part correct, you will knock out better than 60% of your success in one fell swoop. And nobody talks about this.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. Someone is just starting off in their real estate journey or on their real estate journey. They're green or don't have a lot of knowledge in doing transactions yet. Everything looks like there's so much to do, right? Or they have a lot in front of them before they can blah. I can't make an offer because I need to study the script. Or if somebody says something to me, I don't know how to respond. Or I don't know blah, so if they ask me about that, what do I do? All manufactured bull crap in your own head, because I'm going to tell you the worst seller that I ever had, the absolute hardest seller for me to deal with, and the worst seller I can close every single time 1,000% is when I'm doing drilling drilling with a coaching client. My sellers do not say what my coaching clients say. When I'm drilling with them and I'm working with them on how to use the script, I hear the most confounded things, and I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of offers. And they come up with shit that I never heard a seller ever say in all those years. But they believe it, and they want to know how to handle that. And that, my friends, is a person that has never spoken to a seller and has they own the worst piece of real estate on planet Earth.
The one between the two ears, Bill?
Between their ears. Because they're making shit up. They're making it harder for themselves.
They're doing what if.
So I have, for a very long time, thought about this problem. This is a problem for me. This is a coaching problem. How do I deal with that? How do I get around that? How do I psychologically change or influence that person so that they can move forward and realize, because they always come back later. If they actually get through it and start talking to sellers, sooner or later they come back to me or to you and they say, yeah, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier. It was like you said, Bill, it was really easy. They didn't say none of that stuff. Actually, they said things that I knew.
Yeah.
So basically, what you should do when you're starting this real estate journey, I wrote an email about this morning, as a matter of fact, is you should match your list or who you're going to talk to, your potential buyers, to your personality. You should match your list to your available resources. You should match your potential buyers to your education to start. And we do this by matchmaking what you know to the type of sellers who would find value in you talking to them or helping them. So if you're someone who has rented a place to live in the past, they already know that person that rented. So if you rented a place in the past to live, you already know or have experience with landlords.
Yeah, you signed a lease.
And you lived there and you dealt with the landlord. You probably had repairs. You know what it's like. You have lived that real estate transaction.
Mm-hmm.
You have experienced that real estate transaction. Right? So your list of prospects need to be landlords with vacant places that want to rent. You already have that experience. You're 90% of the way there. This is your congregation, whom you can preach to, and they'll listen to you with interest. Why? Because you're speaking truth. Because you were that person once that had the lease that expired and you have another place to go but can't get there for 2 months, and you needed to call the landlord up and say, can I have 2 more months? And you could tell that story to your seller or to your buyer, and you have a lot of reality with them. You have a story you can tell them. You have lived it. You are in their shoes, working or acting like them. You are now empathizing, which means being in their shoes or being on their side of the table, or feeling what they're feeling. That's empathy.
Yeah.
You're empathizing with them in the transaction.
Yeah, and then they'll relate to you.
There you go.
Because, the dog story, they're not going to just sit there and stare at you. They're going to come around. That's like a treat to them. It's something they understand. It's real to them, and they'll talk to you. They'll have a conversation.
Right. So I just wrote, I was looking on here to see if I wrote it on this podcast because I write a lot. So I just wrote the other day, I think it was in an email. Peter, we're going to divert for about 5 minutes here. I'm going to go on a rant right now. So if you don't like Bill rants.
This is the rant? What was the last stuff?
This is a rant. If you don't like Bill rants, then just leave the podcast right now. But here's the deal. It is a known fact, a very known fact, that Homo sapiens, a.k.a. human beings on planet Earth, are the top of the food chain with species, with animals.
Mm-hmm.
What puts us at the top of the food chain? We have the ability to communicate. So you have a mental image picture that you see, nobody else can see. And your job is to make sure I see that picture exactly the way you see that. And there's not a single person that isn't listening to me right now, including yourself, that hasn't met someone that sucks at communication.
Mm-hmm.
I even think I'm not that good at it. And I write and I do all, I speak, I do lectures, I do all kinds of stuff, and I think I need improvement.
Mm.
Okay? The point is that A, for you to be able to see the picture in your mind, B, to be able to compile and organize the words to describe that picture, and then C, be able to send that across, through your mind and your brain and out your mouth and send it across space that has all kinds of, like noises and things that could distract the communication, and get it into the other person's head like a photocopy from your fax machine or from your copy machine, exactly duplicated. On planet Earth is not an easy thing. Especially nowadays via cell phones and texting and YouTubes and, across all the noise, because there's a lot of noise. And to be honest with you, I'm a marketing guy, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it's how I feel. Get it through all the advertisements and all the distractions, because advertisers want to get in that path. Mm-hmm. Of communication. They want to go where you already are and interrupt you to show you their product or service. They study you to make good advertisers, study you and find out what is that communication line that you're on. And they want to be there.
Yep.
Okay. So with that said, you have a lot of competition with your communication.
Yeah.
So how do you beat that competition? And that's where you shine and become real to people, because what you're using first to kick the door open and get attention is affinity. You use affinity first.
Mm.
Right? Affinity is the liking of something or disliking of something. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, total affinity would be you're part of somebody else's body. You and I are in the same body. That's total affinity. Not going to happen, but it's total affinity. Right? Why do you think sex is so important to everybody? That's the ultimate affinity for a human being. That's the closest you can get to another human being without being in their body. Or technically you are in their body if you're a guy.
I'm glad you said that, not me.
Right? But you get it. That's why sex and love is so important to a human being, because it's affinity. The ultimate, the highest affinity you can get as a human being is in that situation.
Yep.
So if you just care about somebody, and when I mean care about somebody, I mean pay attention to the details. Acknowledge them. Make them understand that you're with them. You're tracking with them. You're there with them. You're in their shoes with them. This is not hard to do, Peter. I mean, it's hard to do, but I'm just, because we're not taught this. This is not normal language for real estate people.
Yeah.
Right? So if you could do that, just pay attention to them and just talk to them and just be in the experience with them. And they know they have somebody they can talk to. Somebody they can tell their stories and their experiences or their losses to. They would understand. You are light years, miles and miles and planets ahead of any other offer.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is not to be fake, not pretend, because there's a lot of people that are great actors.
It's horrible. It's horrible, though. I don't think anybody believes it when it happens. I don't think anybody's fooled by it. It's just terrible to me.
I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but my wife, I bust my wife's chops, if you can imagine. You've seen it. I'm not always nice, sometimes and I've been working on that because it's just not good for her, right? Good for me either. But, sometimes she'll just be pitching me something, like a woman to a husband, being chauvinistic, right? And my response to her, like the other night she did it. My response to her is I started clapping.
Oh, Lord.
Bravo! Bravo! You deserve an Academy Award for that.
Oh, God.
Right? It's because she's acting. It's not whatever she was pitching to me was not really what she wanted. Now, by the way, we talked about it. I mean, I was not being a dick. It was just we talked about it, and we ended up she just had a different idea of what she was trying to pitch. It's about the kids, and when I kind of well, what about this and what about that? And it's like, oh, you know what? You're right. And we ended up doing something even better than what she wanted to do because she had a better understanding of it. Right? So when you understand things, now pay attention to this, Peter. I'm really profound now. I'm really way in the wrong pool. There is a huge difference, and I brought this up not too long ago on a podcast. There's a huge difference between seeing something and understanding something.
Oh, yeah.
There is a big difference between seeing something. So I could see a seller that I think is desperate. Not even desperate, motivated. I don't even know why I said desperate, but I think is motivated.
Uh-huh.
And understanding that motivation. There's a big difference between that. You could have a lot of money in the bank and come from a very rich family. I have a friend of mine that I smoke cigars with, and I think he's worth probably $8 or $10 million. Okay? But man, he's a hard guy to get along with. He's an ex-alcoholic.
Huh.
He doesn't run his money. Somebody else runs it because he's an ex-alcoholic. And no disrespect to that. I'm just saying that he has money because his grandfather was a big politician and made a lot of money and pushed it down through the family. So having money doesn't mean that you connect with people.
Nope.
Matter of fact, when you have money, people that have money think that they've made it and they should indoctrinate everybody else on what they did.
Mm-hmm.
So they never listen. They never get into your personal space and find out about you. So the best way to do this, getting back to the podcast, the best way to do this is if you connect with people that are like you. You spend some time on your list, and this is not that hard to do. I mean, we use PropStream to do this, right? So if you connect with people that have, like I'm saying, if you've rented a property before and you understand how to rent property, you would go talk to landlords. That's what I'm talking about. If you've been through foreclosure, then you might want to go to pre-foreclosure people.
Mm.
If you've been divorced, then you will talk to divorce people.
And you're saying you can find lists of these things.
Yeah. If you've been through probate with your parents, then get a probate list.
Mm.
Right? Here's the point that I'm trying to make here, right? And then I'm going to get to the punchline for today. Here's the point that I'm trying to make here.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
It's not the house. Stop looking for the property. It's not, hello. It's not the house. Stop looking at houses. It's the seller. Sellers sell houses. Houses do not come to closings and sign their own paperwork. People do.
Mm-hmm.
So look for people, not houses.
Yeah. So I got a funny image, like a comparison here. Like the waitress comes over, instead of asking you what you want to eat, she doesn't bring the menu over. She brings samples of all the food on a cart. She starts showing it. Look, we got steak. Look, we got chops. We got this. We got that. And he's like, and he's just waiting and waiting and waiting because it's not none of it's what the guy wants, right? Why don't you just ask him, hey, what do you want?
Yeah.
You know,
It's true.
It's just got a funny image.
So, again, sidetracking. Jim Camp's book called No. To show here, if you're on video, I'll show it to you.
You know, I have the book No, but I pulled it out the other day. It's a different book No by a different author, right? Because you told me to buy a book and it was like another person had written it. There's 2 books called No.
Now, this is Jim Camp.
Yeah, I thought I had that one. Anyways.
So listen, Peter, I'm gonna do a freakoid thing right now. Yes. I didn't know I was gonna do this till just 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a freakoid thing right now. So right now it's December 23rd, 2021.
Yep.
This podcast will last a lot longer than the one I'm gonna do. If you send me a support ticket before December 31st, 2021, with your name and mailing address, I will buy you a copy of this book and have it sent to you. That's 7 days from now, 8 days from now.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening to this podcast and you want to know how to handle your sellers, you don't need to be reading real estate books. You need to be reading this book. It's No, the only negotiating system you need for work and home.
Oh, and home too. Ooh.
Yeah. So listen to this. So this was written in 2000. The remake was written in 2007. He's dead.
Oh.
So here are the chapters. The best word in the English language. Controlling the communication of emotion. Focus on what you can control yourself. Why no is great, yes is bad, and maybe is the worst. Rooting your mission and purpose in the world on the other side. How vision drives decision. The art and science of asking great questions. 3+ stripping and not presenting. And the reason why I'm telling you this, and there's more, I'm not going to read all of them. Blank slating to success. Now, if you read any of my emails, you'll hear this language in there because I read this book all the time. So here's my point. Blank slating. What is blank slating? Blank slating is, and you know this because I've done this to you, blank slating is when you clear your mind. You don't have preconceived ideas of the transaction. You just go in and say, I want to learn about this guy.
Yep.
I want to know what his deal is. What has he had happen in his life over the last week or 2 months that he's decided to drag himself through this rigorous process of selling a house? What is more pressing to him or pushing him to do that? Is it need or is it greed? So once again, it is December 23rd, 2021. If you're listening to this podcast, I will send you a Christmas gift if you send me a support ticket at flippinghousesforrookies.com/support. If you send me, you say, Bill, I want that book.
Well, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to accomplish anything. They don't have to win anything. Seriously?
No. Just send me a support ticket with your name, mailing address, a complete mailing address, and I will, at that moment, go right on Amazon, and I will buy it and send it to you.
My name is Pete Cocola. 10.
I know what your Christmas gift is going to be now. I already bought you a book. Now I got to go buy another one. I just told you what your Christmas gift is. Shit.
Hey, what do you want?
A deal?
Deal.
Now, the punchline for today. Let's get out of here. Enough of the rant. I hope you enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in the right church, pews filled with landlords, you can easily drop the question, what would have to happen for me to get this rental property?
Mm-hmm.
And voila, the landlord makes you a proposal or an offer. Or what would I have to do to decide, or what would you have to do to decide to rent for a few years and then sell to me? Offer comes your way. You could even say, if you had a magic wand and waved it over this property, what would you want it to do? And offers come your way. The point here is you don't just ask questions for answers. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. If you're in the right congregation, and you're like-minded, and you have affinity with this person, they will tell you the truth. I'm not talking about talking to a for sale by owner who wants $200,000 for their property and pay no fees. Now, mind you, the for sale by owner is the most greediest seller on planet Earth. They do not want to pay fees. They think they're going to sell and keep all the money. They're going to do the work themselves and bypass the realtor when they don't even know what the realtor does for them, because the number one thing a realtor does for any seller is find the buyer. It's not consult them. It's not bring them through the... So the for sale by owner thinks they don't need consulting, thinks they can do it on their own, thinks they can get through the hurdles of the closing. They're not aware that the only thing a realtor does for them is find them a buyer. So the number one reason 88% of all for sale by owners go to realtors is because they don't spend the 4, 5, 6% for marketing and get 125, 150 people to look at their ad and get 20 or 30 people through the house so they can get 1 to 5 offers. They don't know that. They don't know what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Now you come along and you say, Mr. Seller, I'll give you 3 offers. What does every seller want? They don't want to sell. They don't want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hear if your offer is close to what they're thinking. Full circle. You get it, Peter? Full circle.
Sure.
If you're in the right congregation, are you going to be thinking like them? Are you going to have the experience? Are you going to be able to tell the story of, like, you know what? I had a place that my dad had a place that he used to rent all the time. He had a 2-family house, and I remember blah, 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 blah. Have you just made affinity with that seller?
Mm-hmm.
Have you just instantly created a liking to you? Enough that he'll keep wanting to hear you talk. Because once you get past affinity, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to start building some common reality or common agreements between the two of you. And that's going to help you just by virtue of talking to him. You're not even like trying to make him an offer. Peter, I want you to tell the listeners right now, because you're here and you're one of the people who can do this. And if you don't believe Peter, then send me a support ticket, and I will give you phone numbers of other people that you can talk to that will tell you the same thing. What happens when we leave a house? What almost every person say about me when we leave a house?
They thank us.
Why?
They thank us because, something you said a minute ago made me think of something. I've heard that when somebody reads a book, even a fiction book, they're trying to learn something. And I think when the seller is on the phone listening to you and your stories and something, he's trying to learn something. Maybe he can get something out of this, a solution to something, just something he can get out of it. So we always help them.
That seller, I'm sorry to interrupt you, that seller is looking for his or her congregation. Who could they talk to that thinks like them?
Yeah. That
knows this house is really worth 200, not 180. Who could they talk to like that? Who understands that like they do?
Yeah, because they're going to be thinking that you're going to come along there and try to tear things down. They think you're not on their side. They're thinking, They're gonna
It's
you're gonna be
combative.
disagreeable. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
combative.
And you align yourself instead of with the guy. I studied something about this the other day. Instead of aligning yourself with the guy, you're lining up with his opposition.
Right.
You're on the opposition side. You're disagreeing with what he's trying to do. And he's like, thank you very much, click. And I'm proud of what I do when I'm on a phone. I had a guy talk to yesterday, just a couple of texts, and he left a message. He sounded like, I don't want to talk to him. He sounded like, kind of an asshole. But by the time the conversation, hey, nice talking to you, talk again, ah, ha, ha. It was shocking to me almost. And that's why I survive making phone calls, because somehow I don't always find all the correct answers. I don't do it perfectly yet, but I can at least keep it going where they like talking to me. So I have the chance to find what I'm looking for. They don't mind. It was a 44-minute phone call.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I want to add to your story here, so I'm interrupting you because we need to go. It's 55 minutes, and we only got a couple more minutes, and I got a few more things to say. So we have a deal that we're working on, not you, with my other partner, Sean. I'm working on a deal. It's a 5-family. Actually, it's from my coaching group because we do deals in my coaching group. Mm-hmm. It's a 5-family house. So in summary, just so I can explain, if you're in the right congregation, you hear things like what I'm about to tell you. What you just said is one of them. Mm-hmm. The guy, when I'm talking to him about the offer, he said to me, I absolutely will not sell this house unless I do owner financing, and I will not do more than 20 years. I definitely do not want to do less than 20 years.
Huh. He wants to do long.
Because he had sold a couple of the properties and got whacked with capital gains and said, I don't like that program.
Huh.
And he already on his own figured out how much money he can save by taking the note. And he told me between his Social Security and this property, that's his retirement. And he's in his head, I figured out, in his head, he's got 20 years left. And if he doesn't make it to 20 years, this is what he's going to give to his daughter as an inheritance. So he's got it all figured out in his head. My point is how do you get that information? 1, the list, who you're talking to. And 2, it's my reality because I just sold a bunch of property and I was like, yeah, capital gains. Let me tell you my story. You know what I mean? It's like there was a lot of affinity there. And it's incredible. It is incredible. Now, you good? Were you done with your story? Because I interrupted you. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So here we go. The point here is you don't ask questions for answers, Peter. Okay, this is something you have to pay attention. It's kind of new. I've talked about this in the past, but never highlighted it like this. You do not ask questions for answers. Every salesperson tells you ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions.
Yeah.
The discovery stage that we talk about is ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Well, I'm putting a line in the dirt today. You ask questions for emotion. Motivation is emotion. It's not logic. The math of the deal and the living room renovation and the roof and the comps and all this crap that these people do in real estate and they think they're doing real estate is the logic. That does not buy and sell houses. The emotion does. So you need to ask questions for emotion. And the best way to do that, and I'm working on a list of these because it's not, I need to really put a magnifying glass on my deals and my conversations because I do this. I just I haven't pulled out of my conversations the words, but the one that is most common is feel.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about blah? How do you feel about having tenants?
Yeah.
Here's another one. What do you think about owning this property? Or what do you think about selling this property? Or what do you think about tenants?
Mm-hmm.
It's an emotional question.
Yeah.
Maybe you do things like, how do you think of yourself as the seller going through the transaction?
Yep.
Right? Or what do you go through when having to find tenants? Or what do you go through when trying to find a buyer? Or what do you go through when you're trying to talk your wife into having steak? Here's another one. How much responsibility do you bear with this property and having tenants? Or how much responsibility do you bear with this property knowing your wife wants you to move to get in a new school system? How much responsibility do you bear with this property knowing you have 4 kids in 2 bedrooms? You see?
Sure.
It pulls an emotional response. Right?
Yep.
So the lesson for how to be lazy and get sellers to legally create their own offers without knowing it is find the right crowd that thinks like you do, then ask questions that create feelings, which is motivation. Once you have that, you say, what would have to happen for me to blah? What would have to happen for me to help you find a house that has 4 bedrooms for your kids so I can buy this house?
Yep.
What would have to happen for you to blah? And they will make you multiple offers. So all you need to do is decide which one the current market will buy from you. In other words, we talked about this on episode number 278 and 280. It's how I make offers. I bounce it up against what the market will bear. What will the market give me? So when I'm talking to the seller, if the seller tells me, oh, they want $200,000, they're willing to take monthly payments, but they want 200 grand, and I'm thinking, well, the most I can get is probably 200. Where am I making my money?
Yep.
So that puts me right away into a slot deal.
Mm-hmm.
Because I bounce it up against what I can get. So if you go to episode number 278 and 280, right, you'll get 2 podcasts all about that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That was really, that was big. I said it to one of the person I was talking to, one of the landlords I was talking to yesterday. I just told him, I got to find out what you want, and I have to know what I can get on the other end, and I'm in the middle. If I can do something in the middle of those two, then I have some money. You got a deal, and everybody's happy. And he goes, "That makes total sense." I told him it's not a game.
Yeah.
If you don't tell people, if you're not upfront with people, they think you're scamming them. They think, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Tell them what you're doing.
What most people don't realize is there's 2 ways. I say there's 2 ways to make money with real estate. There's actually 4 ways, but 2 ways are the equity, buy low, sell high, or the cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, if you have a deed in your name, there's appreciation, depreciation, equity, and then cash flow. But we don't talk about appreciation, depreciation. We just talk about the cash flow. So if somebody wants all their equity, it's no problem as long as we have cash flow.
Yeah.
Or if they want to give us all their equity, which I do less of these. I used to do more of these. If they want all the cash flow, we just need a lot of equity. I don't do too many of those these days. I prefer cash flow.
Yeah.
Because cash flow is king. Right? Does this make sense?
Sure.
Good. Now, the very last thing, why this is dangerous.
Okay.
If you really, really, really study and understand how the audience selection is the most valuable part of your real estate career, and you do the things we talk about today, you'll have more money and way more time on your hands, and that's dangerous. How do I know that?
Ooh. It's good danger.
Seriously, you'll get into all kinds of trouble. You'll buy businesses and cars and spend $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 for Christmas. Think nothing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Buy timeshares. God knows what. You know,
I took the summer off. I don't know how much it cost me, the things that I did. I told Mary, like, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I did what I wanted to do. I don't want to know how much it costs. I don't
it's
care.
paid for, and I have the memory.
Yep. I paid I used cards, but they were debit cards. They weren't credit cards. First time in my life, really. So, yeah, we on the right track.
From real estate.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, we're 5 minutes over. So just remember to go in the description. There's a link in there for you to like go get some goodies. Also, make sure you subscribe to us wherever you're listening to us or watching us, and leave us a review. And if you don't want to leave it there, I'm really close. I'm trying to get over 100 testimonials on my website. We're really close. So go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, top right-hand side. There's a testimonial link there, or just go flippinghouses4rookies.com/testimonial. You can leave videos, you can write them, you can leave audio, whatever you want. It's a whole thing. And lastly, Pete, we don't talk about this enough, but on the front page of Flipping Houses for Rookies, there's a lot going on there. There's a link for my meetup. We do every third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I do a free meetup that's just about deal structuring. There's no selling or upselling or anything like that. I go over the deals, the transactions, and I show you the math with them. And I have a whiteboard, and I write on the whiteboard. So you can get that there. Also, there's a free 14-day email course you can get there, which walks you through a deal. It shows you how to get the paperwork, how to fill out the documents, how to get somebody for $25 a month in your backyard to legally look at your documents so you're safe. I show you how to sell the properties. It's actually, I've got a lot of people in there. And I've got people doing deals because of it, and I've got a lot of response for it.
Great.
Then if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's the Creative Real Estate 101 course, which is where at one of the meetups that we did when we were doing them physical meetups, I actually go over all the deals, the slot deal, the option deal, the rent-to-own deal, the rehab retail deal, the wholesale deal, getting the deed. And they're all 20 minutes, 30-minute long, but they show you how to do the math for all those deals. They show you how to buy them and how to sell them and how do you make money. So go check all that out. Okay? So with that said, we're over and out. For those of you that are listening to us local, like the day of, Merry Christmas, man. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Enjoy your families and don't drive drunk and have fun. Over and out.